Go ahead and get started and go over a few things before he gets here and leave the big topic, big ticket item for when he gets here. Go on. We're ready to go ahead and get started. All right, I'll go ahead and call to order the workshop for the town of Tula Falls, March 22nd, 2023. And need to get a motion to approve the agenda. Joey makes the motion, Scott seconds, all in favor, unanimous. And since Craig's not here, we'll probably just go into looking at what Linda has, just some capital projects, some SPLOST stuff, and some things that really aren't going to change much. But we can look at it and at least be aware that we can change it if we need to. So we'll let her get into that.
Let's skip the capital real quick and go to roads, because Chris may have some input on the capital. roads. So on the streets and highway budget worksheet, you want to see that. So basically, nothing's changing in that, just a little bit on LMIG. It was a little higher this year. It may go back down, you never know. But depends on the formula, so. Unless y'all see something, we'll include that with our budget packet and we'll do it on the 20%. Any questions about that? That's not changing Manuel's, that's keeping him at
$850.
the 850. It's a little bit more than that, just in case we haven't do some miscellaneous stuff that we had him do before that wasn't included, you know, in his regular maintenance. But so that's why that come out to exactly 850 a month.
And gasoline, diesel with the increase in cost, is that 150? I mean, I would think it's similar to 2023, but is that enough?
Yeah, that's usually when we're plowing the roads, things like that, filling the tractor back up, when Gary's using the tractor to take, you know, digging ditches out, stuff like that. It doesn't take that much fuel.
Yeah.
Yeah, very well. Just during the summer when Gary's here and then.
Sometimes we can finagle a little extra diesel with the fire department, but we don't do that if we can keep it from it. But yeah, I go buy off-road diesel if I need to, so I don't pay tax on it.
It's good.
All right, legislative budget saying it didn't, I kind of changed around the numbers just a little bit, still total the same thing, just in case, you know, there's anybody that has to go to training, you know, if we would have any additional people or anything like that. That's the same.
Didn't we pull training off this, what would be 2023's budget?
Pulled it out of the executive.
Yeah.
We pulled it out of executive, so wasn't needing it, but we left it in legislative. Because we'll have it'll be this upcoming fiscal year, if we get a new council member elected on, then we will need to send them to training. But if not, then we won't need to train. Unless someone just finds a class they're desperate to take. You never know.
No one's been begging me for classes, so I'm going on that presumption, but. Then hotel motel, Mike said that our legislation did go through, so I guess we will be increasing that to the 8%. So this would change a little bit based on that. These numbers will be the same, but then I guess I'll need to increase the total revenue and then add the extra bucket.
Yeah.
And we're pretty much on target for about 6,000 for this year. About there, so, all right, so then we can go back to capital. That didn't take long. We haven't done police, fire, any of those yet, because it depends on what we do with the camera money, if we're gonna pull any of that
Have we heard
budget.
anything?
Yeah, you wanna.
Yeah, so this morning they had a meeting at the committee. It passed through committee with some changes. What's happened though is there were the two bills, 348 and 301. 301 has now been blended with 348. And so the 301 bill has been changed to a street games bill. So it's unrelated. some of the language that went in, came through from 301, we don't think the language about the 35%, all citations being counted toward the 35%, we don't believe that moved with it. We have not seen the new language yet. I've been hitting, both of us been hitting refresh all day, trying to hopefully get to see it before the meeting, but it hasn't happened yet. But the way they were talking about it, it sounds like it's probably not in there. Everything else about 348 was pretty good and nothing that I would have really objected to. So, the problem is they've made enough changes to 348. It's going to have to go back. Well, first of all, it's got to make it to the floor for a vote. If it gets approved, then it goes to back to the House for approval. So there's always that possibility that that language gets put back in somewhere. But at this time, I mean, we've only got one more week till, what do they call it, sine die, or whatever it is. The 29th. We've only got a week. So I can't see someone that really wants that bill to go through adding much to it that's going to change it that drastically. So, but we still ultimately won't know until the 29th.
Oh, that's just, I mean, that's a week away, so.
It is. So, but we've got a pretty good, I feel like we've got a good chance that language is gone. So that we'll still be able to keep, that school zone camera money won't count against our 35%, and the 20 and above won't count against our 35% either. So hopefully that's right. Hopefully they don't put that language back in. So, but from the conversation, they will be talking about this next year. So once again, there's going to be some uncertainty next year. So that brings up, as we get into talking about this in just a minute, how we want to proceed. Do we want to start making decisions as though we're going to continue getting the money, or do we want to take it a little chunks at a time, do some things with it that we can, and move on? So let's go ahead and do capital projects, and then we'll get on to that other stuff.
Okay. So the way, there's 2 pages here. These are all of our SPLOST accounts, and I just put in parentheses, you'll see kind of what years they were collected, what years they, some of them are still being collected, so we haven't collected all of the money on them. And then it shows which things were allocated, kind of like public facilities, recreation, public safety, water, roads. What was allocated and what's left. So this is just the big overview. And this is not specifically budgeting anything. I left the things that were on this budget that we haven't done, this entry to shower room. I don't know if that's still a priority. The loading zone improvements, the kayak storage. Those were just things that were in this year's budget that we haven't done, so we'll decide what we want to do with those, and then just showing, what available monies that we have, and, so we know what things we can prioritize, in our capital outlay. There's roads and several of the SPLOST funds, plus we have the new T-SPLOST that's coming in, the ARP funds, we've got those, we've only spent just a little bit of that, so we've got those that were budgeted this year that we haven't done that with, and we do have a deadline on that.
What was the limitation on? Is that we can use it for infrastructure? Or is it on? Yeah, it's infrastructure. I think we were planning on using it for roads.
Yeah, because my biggest problem is we don't have enough money to even put a bid out.
I mean, the
Well,
only
we
two
had said
infrastructure we got
water.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, water,
Is that-
okay.
that we applied for?
Yeah. Well, no, I mean, it could have been. So we have a report, I guess now is the time to tell me this, we have a report due April 30th. And they said that the easiest thing and the thing that they recommend you doing, and we didn't spend anything in our last report. So we can do it just as loss of income. They said that's the easiest thing to apply for, and then this the police paperwork, and then y'all can put it towards whatever you want.
But right now, we had it,
We had it,
For-
thinking.
budget for water.
For water.
and we just didn't use it. They never
No.
could have. Didn't we? Didn't we do a pump?
Oh, yeah, we did the
Yeah,
pump,
we've got,
but that's still okay. I mean, we just have
What about the
50,000
VFD?
left. I mean, we could use
Yeah,
it
we
for anything. Just in my report, I'll put it as
Yeah, you'll put it in your report.
loss
as
of
loss,
income, and then.
But we can allocate the money
Yeah,
later
but we-
to some
we
of the
approved,
water projects.
yeah, we approved the pumps, they're on order, and that VFD's on order also, so we could split this, end up putting this towards that instead of what, if we allocated, what we're gonna pay for that out of. I think you ever specified.
The pumps,
Yeah.
yeah, the IFB.
Every, oh, okay, so we did put that.
We did put-
Okay,
Okay,
so we will be using that for pumps, all right. When we pay for it.
But you see, like, for, SPOS 13, we still have road money. SPOS 19, we have road money. Then our T-SPOS, we have road money.
The T-Splosh, we were guaranteed at least $100,000.
Yeah, that's just what
Total,
we
yeah.
collected so far.
So as we're looking forward into the future. As long as they hit there's 17 million in the county, we get at least 100,000. I think those are the numbers, 17 million. Yeah, I think if we hit for 17 million, they're probably gonna exceed that.
So if we know. If you all know of any projects that we wanna, put in this budget for capital, then that's. I need to know.
What do you need for paving?
It's like calculating. it
Yeah.
now.
yeah, I'm getting there.
We've got quite a few roads that need addressing too.
Yeah,
Got some that have moss growing on over by my house.
maintenance.
Nightmare.
Nobody can paint anything.
Also, my mow down that stop sign.
No, I just fell over and.
Oh, did it fall?
Yeah, he's falling over in the wind. We need to put a permanent post in.
I got somebody who's
Oh, I do. Okay. Yeah, it just keeps falling over, so I'm stop picking it up.
That'll get that 96,870 is what I got right now. That's out of the SPOS. And the LMIG is located,
That's in general budget, so that's another, say 15.
is that what is it, was it 15 roughly? Okay. Well, we could, might be able to get the Lycant finally paved. But the problem with Lycant paving that, I'm bidding the job up there too. They're gonna start building a new substation up there. They keep tearing up the road as it is. The patching we did is holding. I rode it up there the other day, but I don't think we want to do anything else
How far are they gonna go?
for a little while until all the construction's done.
Right. That's what I was wondering is, can we do from one point?
I don't think you want to do anything up there.
Don't
for that
want anything
construction
until we're done.
Yeah, they put all those new transmission lines in. They're still running the big trucks up and down the road and they're crushing the shoulder.
Okay.
Now, we might get on them about repairing some of that, which I can do that, but. And then we have the little road up here. That we didn't know was ours,
Vandiver.
Vandiver, and a section up on Hickory Nut. So what I'll do is I'll go ahead and get some bids for those.
One thing I
Oh,
noticed,
and that's kind of on hold too.
I was gonna ask you, I noticed the other day when I was going up, I've been getting addresses to turn over to Tammy for election stuff.
Yeah,
It looks like that St. Paul is redeveloping
It is.
that culvert. Do we need
needs to
to
be dug out.
get into that?
I think it's the cross pipe, or it's either that or it's a bad drainage over there in that corner. Water holds there and it's just getting down into alluvial soils, which are organic.
Right.
It's causing.
Yeah, I didn't know. if it was my
Imagine they built that
imagination.
road with a bunch of Stumps,
Whatever he had.
probably.
Yeah, the cheapest fill he could get.
No, it's not your imagination.
Okay.
And I got some ditch improvements too. It's just finding a sub that will move in and pave that little bit. You know, I asked Raven County. They said they couldn't do it. It's too small.
Yeah,
Wouldn't even put it on their list.
yeah.
I was disappointed. I was like, really?
What happened to Raven County doing their, cause they do some of their own paving, I thought, like their small roads.
I reached,
So I know they wouldn't include us on the bid because
I
of the
reached
stuff they
out.
were
Yeah,
bidding out, but
We've asked them, and either they're
Pretty
too
much.
busy or they don't have time or they weren't interested. Yeah, they've done it for us before, and they've done it for the cost of Jimmy Yon cooking on barbecue. Plus material. So, they have done it. I guess they're just too
We'll
busy.
just solicit some favors again. I need to give them something decent to look at. To decide what we're gonna give them. It's hard to get anybody that's interested.
May need to look at Gilbert Gate too at some point, see if that's
Yeah,
something we won't even mess with. It's pretty tore up.
on money.
Yeah, that's a long stretch of road that nobody drives.
Uh,
So. All right,
so what about the ones that were on there for this year? Do we need to keep those, take them off? It's lost theirs.
see,
uh,
well,
well, the loading zone improvements would be part of, probably part of roads up here to get in and regrade this and extend it. I think, so we want to keep that in there. I'd say kayak storage. I still want to do something with kayak storage. I'm not sure what our options are going to be.
Well, you gotta spend that money on parks and recreation, correct?
You have to spend what you need of it. on
Right,
Parks and
right. You gotta have a project.
Yeah.
Yeah, so the loading zone improvements could be part of it, but we could blend it in with some other road work that's being done. The new entry, that's gonna depend on our conversation in a little bit. So,
What's the loading zone improvements?
it's where people pull off over here by the dock.
Oh, yes.
We want to get in there and grade that out a little bit better, make it a little longer if we can, make it where people can get completely off the road with a trailer if they need to. Just really expand as much as we can. We're really restricted. But we want to be able to put enough money into it to be able to do it right and get it where people aren't pulling their kayaks off in the middle of the road.
We would have to have some type of drawing, because we'd have to go to Georgia Power for that.
Yeah, we'll have to get approval for
Yeah.
engineer drawings and so forth. So I'm sure they'll work with us on it. I hope they'll work with us on it. So I'd leave that one in for now and like I said, we'll come back to the new entry to the shower room based on a later conversation. We may end up pulling that off at some point. So,
Kayak keeper.
yeah, kayak storage, we'll keep it for now, because if we can figure out a way, and if we get the money from the state for the kayak rental and boat launch and everything over on the beach area, if there's a way that we can tie in and we get a public benefit, meaning one of the discussions I had with Bill was if we do it, we contribute to the project, then I would want for us to have access where our residents could use or rent space to store their kayaks over there. And if we, that would, then there's a public benefit back to our taxpayers, then we might be able to use that like in that way, in that manner.
But that's not gonna be private now, right? And then it's gonna be under DNR or underneath the park.
No, it would be under DNR.
Yeah.
Yeah, it has to be the
They might
DNR
not be able to
project.
do that.
Well, that's what we gotta figure out is if we can do like an IGA, since they are a government entity, they're part of the state. We might be able to do an IGA or a MOU. So I can't remember what that is. Where we contribute to the project, but we get a benefit. Somehow we get a benefit in writing that they get to store their kayaks over there at like $1 a year or something. as an extent, so we extend the project, make it bigger, so that we get like 12 storage spaces or 20 storage spaces as part of the project. If not, the problem is finding a location for it. That's the biggest deal. Just not sure where to put it.
Under that one, there's also, you see additional collective $13,062. That's, so Habersham and Raven do SPOS a little differently. Raven gives you what you were allocated on the front end. Habersham pays you as it comes in. So this is a Habersham SPOS. So we've collected more on that SPOS than what we were supposed to get. So there's that 13 plus interest. So there's a little over $13,000 that could go into any of those original buckets.
Can it stay there? As like if we get bids and they go overrun or under, overrun, come out of that fund.
Yeah, as long as it's one of the,
Yeah, it's one of those
Yeah.
items, right, I got you. If we get bids
Luckily-
on any of that, you can take it out
Right.
of 13. Okay.
Yeah. it just has to be used on one of those.
There's no match on the SPOS, so.
No.
It's just Elmeg.
Right. And then SPOS 7 under it, like we've got 110 for public safety and 110 for water. But we've only collected 69,000 so far, so, all of that SPOS hasn't come in yet. So there is 69,000 of it available if we have, something that we had to do. There's public safety in the SPOS 6, but there's not.
Right, if you take care of a lot of the public safety through the other
Right.
funds, can we allocate that additional money toward our water system since it's already on the list?
So again, you could in SPOS 6,
Right.
because
No,
we've already used some of it.
Yeah, we have to spend a little bit on whatever it was that you said.
So
Oh, okay, I got
on
you.
7, you'd have to do a project and then you could do.
Yeah. Not to take anything away, I mean, do a little bit of the project and allocate the rest towards water.
Yeah. we can do
Okay.
that.
Well, definitely need to do
It
that.
was like with the fire department, with that list I sent you, we'll talk about later. We've got some equipment on there that will fall under SPOS, so that would be something you could
We can move over
move
and then
over.
use that to help out with the water.
Yeah.
Okay,
I got stuff like that.
okay.
So,
And then 13, that's everything that we have left. We won't get anything else in 13 except for interest on that money. So that's where I pulled the matches out for 23 and 24. And then we had 10,000 in there for the Main Street project, but I think I left that blank because I figured that amount had grown since last time we talked about it. So
Yeah.
I didn't know if you
Yeah.
wanted to just allocate the rest of what's left in there.
It's like
Yeah, to get it
8,946, yeah, just keep it. You mean keep it towards roads, right?
Well, yeah, it'll be towards roads, but what I'm saying is out of the 46.
Oh, out of the 46,
Do
okay.
you want to just put the remaining into Main Street project, or do you want to not put anything in there?
I really like to do that Main Street project, so, and I'm afraid I'm not gonna be able to do it any other way. With funds, so yeah. I need
So
to
just
keep
put
that
that
on,
balance in there.
if that's okay. Cause I don't wanna assume something I don't need to assume until we're clear. Okay,
And then 19, we're still collect, let's see, no, that's a Raven, so I think we've collected all we're gonna collect on that one, except for interest. So we've got 50,000 roads available to use, 50,000 public buildings, and then the remainder a little bit in water, so what of that do we need to put in this budget? Do we need the whole 50 roads for this
Yes.
budget?
I do. I mean, if you take, yeah, if I lose that, it's a big chunk.
And do we know what project would that be?
Well, since I'm not gonna be paving West Street, anytime soon, that's the majority of the paving that was gonna be required. But we had put it in we put that on our LMIG list.
With
The
the,
only list we have to turn in is for LMIG, right? Did we consider that satisfied based on the patching we did?
Yeah, the last one we did was.
Didn't you write off that one? Okay, so I could use it somewhere else.
I think we were supposed to be. Some patching on Hickory Nut Mountain,
Okay. Yeah, so do we have to define where that 50,000 is gonna go?
No, but if you knew like a project name, I would put it. there,
Project
so we-
name, so you have it, on there.
But we don't have to, if we just think it's gonna be paving, I can put
It's gonna be
paving.
paving, because there's gonna be a lot of different roads,
Okay, I can just put paving,
5 different road names.
okay.
Okay.
And then public buildings, we've got 50,000, do we need to allocate anything on that?
I'd really like to replace those doors. Up here, don't know. Yeah, these front doors, but we've been having a hard time. It's been years. We've been trying to find someone to come up and address those doors. 'Cause we want to do a handicap paddle and we want the double doors, but it's been difficult to find someone to do it. Again, some of this public buildings may need to keep it there until we, again, have our conversation here in a little bit with this other list. We may need to use some of that for some of the work we do on that one project, the Rock House project.
Okay,
So that's gonna be a blended project.
again, if we think we're gonna use all that money on any or all of that, I can just.
Yeah,
put
so,
public buildings 50,000.
yeah, I just leave it at 50 for now.
What kind of shape is the rock house in?
It's in rough shape. We've got to replace a lot of the water lines. We'll do some electrical work.
With no asbestos or?
Well, there's asbestos in the floor, so we'll have to abate that, but the estimates I've had on that are about 4,000. Which is cheap. So,
All right, and then the remainder of that account, just allocate towards water.
yeah. I think
I'm
so.
sure we'll spend that.
Oh, we'll do it.
T-Splosh, do you want to budget what we've collected to use? Or do you want to save that for later, or you need it now?
Where's
T-Splosh, we got,
It's one that we don't have all the money in yet. We
no, it'll be
should
coming
get
in over the next several years.
for 2027, and we've got. We're supposed to see at least $100,000 out of that.
Yeah, what's the 21,870, just something we've already got?
That's what we've got in the.
Gotten in so far? Yeah.
We can go ahead and use it, or we can hold on to it for another project.
I'm gonna, based on numbers I got, I'm gonna probably need it if I
Yeah.
put something out there.
Amber Alert. Wilderford County.
Cause I'm reserving that one money for the main street project improvements. So it's taken away from my paving money, if that makes sense. I need to get that.
And then ARP. Or we do want to leave that?
16.
Allocated towards,
I'd say right now we allocate it towards water. What do you think, Scott?
That's gonna get you, that'll help you
budget.
budget a lot.
We've got a leak somewhere. You've seen the usage.
Oh, absolutely.
Now, and we can't, I've looked a little bit. I know the guys have looked, we're just not finding it yet. We may need to hire a team to come in and try to locate it.
I don't think we have a choice
Yeah.
at this point. No, anything we can put towards water is gonna be used.
Okay. Now, does ERP have to be used for capital improvement?
no.
Okay, so we might be able to use that to hire a team to come in, at least partially, is. Yeah, I don't know any other option at this point.
Yeah, because we're gonna report it as loss of revenue, so you'll be able to.
Well, it is lots of, that's a question. At least, what, almost $300 a month, I think, is what my, just a rough calculation was, let's say, for the past two or 3 months.
Yeah, we're at $1,000.
Yes. Well, we're at 1,000, but it should be about 500. By the way, they are gonna be going out to somewhere around 4 after that meeting I had. They said they'll be raising that at the monthly rate up to around $4 instead of $3.75. So, because Stevens County's going up on there. It was fast now.
That's a promise.
Not that, I'm not even so as we're budgeting, let's be aware of that increase that's coming. They said it'll happen around June or July, so. Yeah, so I'd leave the 50 there. We'll end up using it, I'm sure.
Circling back to 7, we've got 69,000 of that so far. Do you think I need to put any or all of that for water for this year?
We could go ahead and start putting that in water for now, and since we've got access for public safety somewhere else to the camera money. Until that money comes in.
Yeah, I mean, it's still gonna be coming in over the next, you know.
Right, we can satisfy that public safety later,
Yeah, we can use.
probably later, and that'll give us an answer on what's going on.
I would say that's the way to go.
So just
I
keep
mean, if
that.
we don't end up needing it.
So allocate all that to water as well, plus 169. Water is up to. 4.
That's that almost, I guess. I think that's all of these two.
Almost, okay.
129.
23 plus. So we've got around 123,000 to spend on water for repairs outside of our normal budget, is that right?
Yeah. 123, 325.
123, 325, that's what I got. Okay.
All
So
right,
we can get some repairs done then.
to the water system?
Yeah.
Yeah, we're gonna start getting things done.
Okay.
That sounds. Scott, we had a meeting with Demorest, Wednesday, and I need to talk to them some more and make sure. It sounds like they're really mostly interested in the water withdrawal permit that we don't have yet. So I know, I told them we're still seeking it, but, and I did reach out to Willard and try to get a meeting started, but I haven't heard back from him yet to start working on the Georgia College agreement. So that's still in the works. So we'll move on to this, list for the camera citations. Tony, did you have stuff to add to the list also? All right, so this is just the list that you guys have is what I came up with, but in my opinion, I'm gonna ask Tanya if she agrees with me, but the radio purchase and the maintenance fees are probably the highest priority, in my opinion. We need to go. I'm talking to some companies that we're trying to figure out. I want to buy the adequate number of radios without having to duplicate radios. Meaning, I want to be able to talk to both counties from the same handheld unit if I can.
Which is gonna be the system that Habersham presented. They'll
No.
communicate with everything.
It won't work directly on, what we'd have to do is we'd have to communicate through Habersham to Raven. So we'd have to use them as a relay to Raven with that system.
So
So,
it would.
That's not how that was presented to us.
I
No.
was thinking,
yeah,
and it will talk with the state police also, right?
yeah, the P25 system will talk to, any other P25 system. What we're running into is, Habersham's going with 800 megahertz P25. Raven County is using VHF, and they're on what's called it's a Kenwood product called NextEdge. Those two don't communicate directly with each other, but they'll patch a way in for Raven and Habersham to communicate back and forth with them, but I won't necessarily on my radio be able to talk directly to Raven County. on the P25. Habersham will, the communication will be there. So like the other day, we had a really unfortunate incident at the gorge. Which is why I couldn't participate in that Zoom meeting. Tree fell on a guy when he was laying in his hammock and fell on top of it. And we had to airlift, life flight him out. That was called in and managed only by Raven County. Habersham didn't get the call, Raven County did. So we communicated directly with Raven County on that. The radios we've got now do that. I can switch over to an analog channel, communicate with Raven, can't communicate with Habersham at the same time without having two radios, one running one way, running the other. So what I've got calls out for, and I'm looking for bids, is Kenwood has a P25 radio that should also work with the NextEdge technology because it's their system. That would be the radio I would probably recommend, as long as I don't have to have two different radios, because one county is on 800 megahertz and they're on VHF. So that's what I'm trying to find out, is there's a way to patch that together so that I can just switch over to another bank and communicate. Because otherwise we'll have to buy enough radios to communicate with Habersham or with Raven, and enough radios to communicate with Habersham. Now, it wouldn't be a direct, one-to-one ratio. So we would probably get most of our radios, our mobile units, everything would probably go with Habersham.
I guess maybe I misunderstood, because I thought one of the pluses with this very advanced system coming out of Habersham was that we could communicate with everyone.
Yeah. No, that's
That's how that was presented.
well, theoretically you can, if they all have P25, no matter who makes it. That's the whole point of the P25 system, is that you can go anywhere in the nation, and anyone that has the P25 system in place can put you on their system immediately, and you start talking right away. But if someone's using a different technology from a different company, not necessarily. Raven's not going P25. They're going digital, but they're not going with the P25 system. So the P25 will communicate on their system, but their stuff doesn't necessarily work on the P25. That's the reason it's taken me, and I've had so much heartburn about this, is because we're being forced into a very exclusive and elite system. It's a great system, but it's not yet compatible. Now, if Raven or other counties come on board, that's what they were pitching, was Hall County's already on it. If we can get, I think Stevens County's talking about joining, and maybe Banks County. Well, if Raven County had joined, then we wouldn't have a problem. We could use the same radio. But the radio the county's going with is an L3 Harris. Is that right? Yeah, the L3 Harris. Well, L3 Harris radios will not work with the NextEdge, with Kenwood's NextEdge radio system. So, and they don't have to. So that's why I'm looking for another one. That also then creates a situation where we're going to have different maintenance. We're going to be able to negotiate a slightly different maintenance fee, but we've got to pay for access to be on the Habersham system. So we'll still have that cost. I don't know what that'll be yet. So there's a bunch of unknowns still on that.
So that 200,000 wouldn't be
I'm estimating
that cost.
I'm estimating high on that.
Okay.
Just in caution, so that we kind of have an idea. The 140 over 15 years, I'm basing that on our projected T-Splost exchange that we were going to do. That was roughly, we were going to get 140 out of that, and we were going to trade that out for our maintenance fees over 15 years. And it came out really close to, I think it was more like 125 or 130 over the 15 years. But that also depends on how many radios we buy or put on their system. So there are ways around, there's some ways around that. And I've been talking with Tom Pretty with Habersham. He's the guy heading up, keeping that radio program or changeover on track. So he's got more of the inside knowledge. And he's the one helping me try to figure out which way to go, because he sees our pain and he wants to help where he can. So
When you're communicating with Raven, is there one person that you communicate with or their 911 center or?
Yeah, we talk on both counties. We get on the radio, we just call dispatch. We don't know who that dispatcher is gonna be, but it's either gonna be Habersham or Raven. And we designate that by being on one frequency or another.
No, I just wondered, is it possible to take a P25 from the Habersham system and give them a radio in Raven, a dispatch? So we could communicate that way and then they relay.
Well, and that may be that's why I'm estimating a little bit high. There may be a way to put a module at Raven, we pay for and put a module at Raven County for us to be able to communicate with them. We had a similar setup where we had our own frequency just here in town. Both dispatches had that frequency in their radio systems and communicated directly with us. And it was used just for police and fire only in Little Falls, and DNR used it. And we did allow the sheriff's department to use it because there were some areas on like New Liberty where they couldn't pick up down far enough south, so they'd run off of our radio. But that changed when we went digital, and we don't have it back. So that's what I'm trying to find. That's why I'm estimating high in case we have to buy a base unit for like Raven County and install that so that we can communicate with. And then maybe that's what I'm trying to figure out. Or we get a Next Edge system, put it up in Habersham so that we talk off of this tower to Raven somehow with a Next Edge. I don't know. That's on a frequency that works with radios that we have. So I'm still a lot of unknown on that. I want to go with the P25. I want to stay on Habersham system. I'm not looking to bump us off of that. I'm just trying to figure out how to make that tie in so we can communicate seamlessly with Raven and not have to buy 50 radios to make it happen. So
again, 340 is gonna be our ballpark figure.
yeah, that's what I'm,
And that should be
As of right
number
now.
one priority.
yeah. And I'm including what I estimated for the police need on that also. So not just the fire.
How many radios?
I'd have to look back at my notes.
And I was just curious, on this money, where do you have it? And what's an interest at? Just the bank?
Is it an entry bearing account?
Are they up to 3 at least? All right, does the interest, does it have to go towards safety too?
It'd be the
Anything made
safe,
off the money comes out of safety.
that'd just be the safe bet.
Yeah, they didn't specifically say, but that's what we're going with, since that's how SWAS is done.
Yeah,
That's probably the same, but.
there's an attorney general's opinion on SWAT funds, because people were doing that, they put it into an interest bearing account and then take the interest and spend it on other projects. The attorney general weighed in, there is a document saying that no, that needs to stay with SWAT.
So
So
that's fine, that's why I asked.
yeah, so that's why we're taking this approach on this. There's
Have you looked at a high yield savings account that's liquidable?
No, I did just ask for, because the bank has to collateralize our deposits, and so we have a lot more deposits than we had 6 months ago. So I just asked for an update on that, and then I asked for some CD rates, but I can ask about that.
Yeah, CD rates are almost, there's a high yield savings now have gone up. I mean, they used to be nothing like everything else, but they're probably a little bit higher than.
Yeah, I think-
savings.
I think they were support, maybe.
Yeah.
4.5.
Yeah, well, and then that's liquid too, it's just like a checking account.
Now, are our funds protected like by the
It's on the
FDIC
side.
type thing?
There's certain ones that
Beyond
you
that,
can,
we're
you go to the
special?
bank, you're not gonna get.
No, that's CD.
Because I thought I
Right.
only had this
Just a high yield savings
runs.
account.
I got
Could be.
nervous. I got nervous.
You're typically not gonna get as high of an interest rate with that.
But it's probably higher than their basic savings.
Oh, yeah,
account.
yeah.
Yeah.
We don't have that in Silicon Valley Bank, do we?
All right, so then the question becomes, we take that, we just go ahead and set that amount aside for now. If we pretend like we're not getting any more money, how would we want to prioritize everything else? And let's keep in mind.
What's our figure we're working from? 750?
Now, I would say we'd be close to or exceed 1 million this year.
We're 860.
We are.
Yeah. We'll exceed 1 million. We've still got,
And we were 35,000 in February and we got through May, right?
well, we've got
It'll come in
We've got some
later than
neighbors.
that because
yeah.
It'll go through June, probably July.
Yeah, because of the
before.
people paying after, then the cameras will stop. Maybe, but
Didn't we already vote
collections
on number
go
7
after.
when that voted in the
No, we
last
didn't.
meeting?
We didn't vote it, we tabled it. Until we could talk about it tonight. So, so if you notice on here, I put on that if I was gonna assume that we were gonna be keeping, this money was gonna be continuous at close to the same level we've been at. I was gonna add in, or at least bring up and talk about adding two new positions. A second officer for the police department and then a public safety director.
But until we have answers. that's
Until we have
hard to do.
answers, it's hard to do that, and if we could still do one or the other, but then we would need to like not do anything else.
Yeah.
And I don't know if that's a wise choice either, my thought is right now, we just table those two, 12 and 13, just keep them, move them to the bottom of the list and then go through whatever Tanya's got and whatever, and get the school.
Did we make a determination as to, could these funds be used for salaries or they can be?
If we want to take that risk to create a position and pay.
Now,
high
I'm
salary.
not talking about create a position.
No, he's talking about.
Oh, yeah, right, yeah, I don't,
And that would just be budgeted every year.
yeah,
You could change it.
Yeah,
If you had to.
yeah, and I theoretically, as long as it's for public safety and law enforcement, you can tie it, I think you could tie it to salaries with the final decision.
so if we
was.
want to go out and buy a Ferrari and give Tanya $100,000 increase, and I'm just throwing things that. What's that?
I like the way.
You want to climb in and out of a Ferrari?
Talk about it. I feel like-
Yeah, I mean, that's our,
I mean, the last I had heard, I didn't know we were debating that as far as.
well, yeah, Warren came back with a decision that it's so, the interpretation is so wide that as long as it's public safety and it's law enforcement related, we should be able to do it. The issue being that we don't know if next year we'll even have this because they come back and say, okay, we're done, this is too complicated. Or like we almost may happen or almost happen this year, we miss out because they changed some language. Or they reduce the fine amount, that's what the goal was, to reduce it down to $10 a citation.
So you wouldn't budget it unless you have it.
Right.
But
So,
we don't have to use this funds this year, do
No. It just sit there, right?
we? Drawing interest.
and we can use them on an as needed basis.
Why wouldn't we?
So let's just go with good ideas, right?
Exactly.
So then we can go through what we've got and see what needs to be done, what's the highest priority that we want to go ahead and do. I would, if we're gonna do that, we're thinking that direction, I would definitely talk seriously about the townwide emergency alert system.
And the school thing.
Well, that is a school
That
thing.
is, yeah, so it's.
Would be townwide and phase 1 and 2 would be for school.
So that'd be number 2.
No,
No.
No, what,
I
no,
don't see us
I don't
doing
either.
this for the school.
you know,
Nope.
okay.
No, this money needs to benefit to Little Falls first. We've already given something to the school right off the bat. And I'm not opposed to the school, but as far as the number 2, I would put it number 2.
I disagree, it's number 1. That the school, that school zone's what's generating that money. And it's an emergency alert system for an active shooter,
Well, let's talk about what y'all would put.
and it reciprocates to the town.
That's okay. It doesn't matter if it's 2, 3, 4, it's looking at the income and the amount we have, it's still.
If we keep it,
Very
yeah,
much.
what would y'all want, what would you think would be number 2?
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, that's what we're.
And then when we keep this on the list, we're not taking it off the list.
Yeah.
Just-
No, I'm not saying we take it off
Yeah,
the
I'm
list.
with you.
We really can't do phase 3 for the town if we don't do phase 1 and 2, right?
Yeah.
I mean,
Well, we can, we'd have to get, I don't know what the cost would be. We can talk with the contractor and see, maybe we make phase 1 something down here in town and make phase 2 and 3 the schools part of it.
All right. Can we make fire helmets? That's logical, isn't it? That's an easy one.
Yeah,
Whether it's 2, 3, 4, it doesn't matter, it's only $6,000.
yeah, and that's one of those things I said, because if they're 600 each, they might fall under 500 each. It would, in which case it wouldn't qualify for SPOS. So.
Do your
that's-
helmets expire?
Yes, every 10 years.
Okay, that's why.
Every 10 years. That's the reason several of these items are on here. Turnout gear expires every 2
So
years.
I don't really care about the number, but that should be.
that's
one of them.
340,
All right.
that's definitely 1 and 2. Yeah. I don't have a problem with the helmets. How old is your turnout gear?
Some of our guys have brand new gear I gotta go pick up right now. My gear and, well, 4 sets of gear, 4 of us out of 8. Our gear will be expiring within the next year or 2.
Okay, so
And all the helmets are expired at this point.
Oh,
Well, I'm gonna take that back, except 2. I've got 2 helmets that expire in 3 years.
all right, so the helmets are a no-brainer. I'm not putting them in any order, but we can take care of that, right?
Okay.
Okay.
what's SCBA?
Yeah. I think about
Those-
that.
Yeah, those are the fresh air cylinders that we breathe out of when we go into a fire. It's a self-contained breathing apparatus. It's just not for underwater, so it's not a scuba.
Yes.
So-
Do we know that the county is not gonna give us that?
I have not, I've not heard. We were supposed to have done it.
They probably read the papers. They're not gonna give
Yeah.
it to you.
They haven't said no as of yet. I haven't directly approached them about it and said, hey, are we gonna get back on track for getting that done? But we never got it in writing.
Do we have some?
We have
we're
4.
Replacing or?
Okay, so we need 12 total.
We
We
have
have-
12 volunteers?
No, we have to have certain equipment, we have to have a certain number of in order to qualify for ISO and for NFPA qualification certification regardless of personnel. We need 4 on each truck. We got 3 trucks, so we need 12 units total. Okay. Back in 2016, 2015, we bought refurbished air packs at a super discounted rate, rehabs. Turns out the company that rehabbed them can't recertify them. And Scott won't guarantee them. The manufacturer won't guarantee them unless they were refurbished by a certified person. So we can't have those tested annually like we're supposed to, like NFPA requires. So we started the program of replacing those over a 3-year period, and Raven County agreed to do that. They did it 1 year, and then some things happened. They didn't do it the next year because they had to replace all their bottles last year. They didn't do it last year. So I'm not sure, and we never got it in writing that they were gonna do this. So we've got nothing to hold them to account.
The 72,000 is for refurb or for
It's for
brand new?
Brand new. Because it's next to impossible to get refurb now. Because the only 2 companies that were doing it, one of them's actually been brought up on a serious lawsuit, a multi-million-dollar lawsuit. And the other one's out of Canada. The one we bought them from is out of Canada. And that's part of the reason we can't do anything. The idea being that if something were to happen to one of our firefighters using one of those refurbed BAs, we wouldn't have anybody to hold to account. So legally, whereas buying brand new, Scott will stand behind it 100%. And if anything happens and it's been maintained properly by their guidelines, they take liability, 100% liability. So that's why you want to go with name brand stuff. The county learned the same lesson. They didn't realize it. They'd bought it from the other company called Dalmatian. And so that's why we're in this situation. We need 8 more air packs, the backpack unit that holds the cylinders we've got most of the cylinders that we need because of a fluke. So I still need to talk to the county about that one and see if they're still willing to put anything toward it, or if they're, you know, they're already coming to us for a drone.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking we may have, by not getting that in writing, we may have just kind of, we may have to just write that one off. So,
So where do we see this on our list? I mean, is this a priority? It sounds like it is.
If we, yeah, but if we can get the county to pay for it.
The county's not gonna pay for it now.
Well, I don't
We
know,
have
if they
deep
want it
pockets. Well, can we trade it? Yeah, that's not a bad idea.
So they pay 72,000, so I get a $36,000 grant.
maybe, never know.
Yeah,
Never know. The one thing I do want to put in here and look at it, how many miles on that patrol car?
That's,
Yeah. Is it,
It's around 80 something.
80,000? Okay.
It's bad.
Yeah, no, those Chargers from that model, they've got known issues. The county blew up 2 motors and I think 3 transmissions in that particular vehicle. So it's,
what is your vehicle? Yeah, what's yours, Cal?
I actually have a little more money. I literally would have to go look. I've been in both of them today and I need to look. I had to get some work done on the car. I think mine right now is well, I'll take that back. Mine's at 73 right now. I'm thinking the car's around 80. I'd have to go look.
So what's
Sure on it.
the typical expectancy of one of those?
Well, all that's on your drivers. I try to baby mine, so. But the bad thing about it here is that the hills, and that's what's in the car. Right, and it's just not.
there are a lot of departments that retire theirs or yeah, they take them out of service around 100,000,
Yeah.
I've seen some go as high as 150, but
So
It is.
if we had to pick between yours or the car, which one needs to be first?
To go?
Yeah.
The car.
The car needs to go first.
Car's
and
got to go.
what were you wanting to replace that with? Another Tahoe?
Something similar to that. I just got to run another car.
Four-wheel drive.
Yes.
We don't really do pursuit as a policy, and so needing something that can handle what that car can do is just not really necessary.
Oh, makes sense. So what are we looking at for?
And actually Tahoes are the cheaper of
Yeah,
anything. right now.
the law enforcement version, or at least for law enforcement, doesn't have all the bells and whistles. Are,
it's still probably 80 to 100,000 with
No.
all your setup.
They were.
I was gonna say
Hey, you can't buy a used car.
60, 70, yeah.
Because they haven't sent out a list, because it's pretty impossible to get the 23s now, but the 24s coming out.
Oh, okay.
Where do you, out of curiosity, where do you?
Last time we went with Brennan, but I'm pretty sure the locals, our contracts now that we can go.
So like Hayes or D-Wall?
Yeah, I think the Charger, I think we got from,
Jack Jones.
Jackie Jones.
So
Who you put it out to bid, is
Steve
that what you do?
No, what happens is you heard her say state contract. Everybody around the state puts in and tells what they would provide certain equipment for tires and some other things. And then that they get the state contract. So they bid ahead of time on what that equipment will cost. Or what they'll charge for that equipment ahead of time. And if you get the state contract, you don't have to go through the bid process.
So if we ballpark 75, that would cover a vehicle.
Well, don't you got trade in on that car too?
Yeah.
Can't do trading.
Oh,
We have to
no.
put it on gov deals.
So what you have to do,
Gov
sell that car?
We have to put it on gov deals or something.
Well, you get 10 grand out of it, 15 grand, 20 grand.
I'd let you get that.
Patrol Outfitters actually contacted me and wondered, is there a way, because I know a lot of departments do it with them, they'll trade that car in toward equipment or other things that they can purchase through them. I know right now, it's been asked of me, actually by 2 departments, that if we, and I told them I didn't know which way we were going, but Best case scenario is if you ever traded both in because warranties are out on everything. The city of Demorest wants to purchase my Tahoe as is. They want all the lights and everything on it. I said, I don't know. I said, if we trade, I know the car's gonna go. Mine's must probably stay. I don't know. I don't know how they want to go with warranty on these things. That they have asked about that, the car.
Yeah, I don't know. That's a good question on trade for equipment. I don't know if you can do it. So what it is and it's really unfair. The state statute is that municipalities cannot do it, but the counties can. The counties can trade their vehicles in. They can do the swaps, but we can't. So we have to right now we have to put on gov deals or put up for sealed bid, whatever the case is. I never thought about whether we could trade it for equipment or not. Is it? Okay. So then that would be a no. So we put it out there for bid and then we take the money from that sale. Because I think it would sell on gov deals. There are people that want those
It is sale.
as a
I
private
mean, I've had
individual.
work done too, so it's in, I've kept it up, but it's just,
So it's basically allocate 75,000 plus or minus for one car that's not no trade-in. Or 125,000 plus or minus with saying you get 25,000 out of the Tahoe trade-in. That's basically it. 75 or 125,
Oh,
plus or minus.
yeah,
Does that sound right?
we can't do the trade-in, not even.
No, I meant sale,
Okay, so,
sale.
yeah, so that brings up an interesting question with an intergovernmental sale like that. Can't do that either, can we? Or do you have to put up on gov deals again?
I don't think so. I have to ask her, but I think you can.
All right, well, what would we get it? for?
I mean, like, intergovernmental, like a police department might get a free car from the state or something like that, and then if they quit using it, they give it back to the state, that kind of thing. But I don't think you can just say, I'm gonna sell it to the city of Demorest.
Can we trade the Tahoe with Demorest in exchange for water?
That's exactly right. You are on track
but they
tonight.
want it out.
No, I mean,
That is two different departments.
we gotta pay them one way, they gotta pay us one way. I mean,
Yeah, I think it'd fall into the same reason we can't trade the charger in for new equipment.
can't believe me.
Okay,
Can we donate it to the city of Demorest and have them donate water?
So
Well, Demorest isn't the one that wants it. Was it Demorest that wants it? or-
Demorest wants it.
Oh, I was thinking Baldwin for some reason, okay.
so I asked Joey, the sheriff of Havertown, just now how much they pay for their new Tahoes, and because I was thinking 75 is still pretty high. They originally started out at 43.5. Havertown paid 39 for their new ones. So they're a lot
No,
cheaper.
but that was just the
That's
Tahoe
okay.
without
And
the,
that's just straight Tahoe.
Yeah.
I've got a different, the equipment will normally run you anywhere from 20 to 25. Because I actually got a quote from Control at Federal lately.
so put us at about
So
50
65.
to 60.
So I would be able to at least though take the lights and the equipment off of the top of the charger,
Mhm.
and I could sell that or trade that possibly for more. We can collect bidders because it's not vehicles. We can't sell the lights with it or any of the equipment,
Ooh,
so all that I can
that's
trade in
good.
toward new equipment. Or possibly use some because I've kept that equipment up on the
Yeah.
safety grants come through, I'm getting the equipment back.
Well, that kind of brings us to another question I had is, I really want the dash cam, body cam stuff upgraded.
I've got to have that,
Yeah. I want
which
the-
I just got approved for a grant that's gonna put, I have new computers that I can put in the cars, new docking stations, new printers. I do have body cams now. I need the equipment to be able to do that, which will be through WatchGuard. I can put the systems in both those vehicles. I can pull
Would
up.
the body cam work in conjunction with the dash cam? And work all
Because
together?
it's all WatchGuard's
Okay,
new equipment.
yeah, 'cause we were looking at that video the other day and it not having any timestamps or anything else on it. I didn't like that.
It's, it's bad. Because those camera, that one's just about had it.
I know you
This
have
has,
other problems.
this has everything on it. It has everything. I can literally it took me almost 4 hours to download a small video today, and it's my whole day. But the new system that I can get, which the docking stations will have that Grundy paid for, I can pull it to the door and it will automatically download into the server.
Now, is that gonna go to the server here, or is it gonna be a cloud server?
Yeah, the big one.
That would be cloud, okay, good, because I was gonna say, I was reading several articles talking about when you send it to the cloud, there's less opportunity for tampering.
It'll be-
Okay, good.
So we're safe at 60,000 vehicle equipped, 65. So.
So the 125 will figure out
125 should be right where it needs to be.
So I would,
And that's a priority.
so would y'all feel like that would be would that be number 3 or 4 on the list?
Yeah, yeah,
If we wait till next year, we might not have the money.
yeah.
This is it.
Well, and again, we've got one that's already getting repaired off, and,
Oh, yeah, she spent,
you know.
I spent 4,000 just the other day.
So you just want to put 125 towards that?
Well, I had to spend some today on it for a brakes on it.
Well, yeah, let's just.
Okay, is 125 okay? Towards that car? Okay, let's do that. Keep on. We skipped the other two, Mike, the 72,000 for the, you know, the oxygen or whatever.
Yeah.
Breathers and the turnout gear for the FD. What's that?
Turnout gear is the gear we wear to enter into a structure. It's,
Okay.
5,000 is a high estimate. I'll tell you now, it's probably closer to, for the full set, it's probably closer to 3 per a set. But I estimated high because I don't know what set Raven County's been going with.
We
We've just
did
actually-
4. That would be.
$20,000.
Yeah, I just put 20,000
Yeah.
just to be on the safe side.
What's wrong with the gear you have now?
It has to be retired every 10 years. We're at the.
So you're back
we're
with
at the
retirement
time.
again?
Yeah.
Is there anything
So it
you
has to be
can
done.
with that?
Hmm?
Can you do anything with it?
Theoretically, there are organizations that can use that gear. And that aren't mandated by NFPA, guided by NFPA regulations. Theoretically, we could put it on gov deals and see if it sells. We do hold on to some of the better old equipment for training exercises, but we have to be careful if someone gets injured in old equipment.
And what are we gonna do about the SCBA's?
That's where we were gonna see if the county was gonna do anything.
We're gonna,
Yeah, I was just gonna bump it down the list below the patrol vehicles. And then see where we were and then start looking at
but the
the,
turnout gear is a priority.
yeah, I think it'd be higher.
Okay.
The turnout gear and then the BAs, because like I said, we've got 4.
So we're good with doing the turnout gear to get everybody up to speed as far as the expiration goes.
Yeah,
Okay, so that's 20,000.
and we've already got the helmets.
All right,
We got the vehicles. So then,
we're at 491,000 out the door. Okay, so you know.
all right,
So-
so something we want to, the other 2 things on here that might be a higher priority to some of us would be pedestrian safety corridor and then the rock house renovation. And the reason we put this under public safety is we were going to create public safety offices upstairs. We're gonna separate the upstairs. I'm waiting to hear back from DNR to see if they told me that was acceptable, but then they wanted to look at the plans, so I had to draw up some plans for them to look at. I'm just waiting to hear back from, to see if that's an approved use.
So how about details on the pedestrian safety corridor?
That right now is just gonna be limited based on what we're hearing as far as audits and so forth, but that'd be limited to the speed bumps, et cetera.
Yeah. So we can,
You decrease
Is
Is
this
that just on
way
Main
down.
Street then? Is that
Main Street.
Main Street?
well, it's gonna be the sidewalk. And so this is something that could be broken up into separate sections.
Yeah,
And done it like if we end up, next year's fine, we still get more money next year, we can put that back on the list. But the speed bumps on Main Street are pretty.
but to be honest, to me, it's one of those stretch items. That probably, possibly, other cities got in trouble with that have probably, no.
No,
Okay.
they've put in
We'll
sidewalks.
worry about those stretch items because they're not even though we went to the lawyer and checked all that, they're not defined strictly as.
It's still
Safety,
public
right?
Well, it's
safety.
public
though.
safety.
Yeah, I agree.
Now, they put in a lot of places put in like new crosswalks, new sidewalks, new, like they put flashing lights in for pedestrian
So
awareness.
this would give us speed bumps and sidewalks?
Well, I just picked a number out of thin air, to be
Yeah.
honest.
Oh,
I just
okay.
wanted something.
Yeah, it's just an improvement on that triangle. If we got pedestrians running through and getting the traffic from speeding up Main Street
So
over to River Street.
what's the cost of the
We
triangle?
I don't know. I've got it surveyed and drawn up and as built, but I haven't got any design on it yet.
Okay.
I'd say if we just focus right now on the speed bumps being the main,
That would satisfy
and then we just, and
Main.
wait the rest of it.
And that's part of safety corridor, the speed bumps.
Yeah,
What are we looking at for speed bumps?
You can get them out from Uline for $150.
yeah, they just.
Just depends on what style you want.
Okay.
Yeah.
You know, there's the head or you want the rollover. It just depends. And you can
And the idea of a bolt,
bolt them right to the ground. Yeah, I've got a hammer drill.
yeah, the nice thing about bolting them in is that if
You can pull them out.
we can pull them out, yeah, if something goes wrong or we need to replace them.
So how many-
Like, out of snow.
It is
someday.
so minor, it doesn't even need to be a list. It's the speed bumps, yeah, you're talking about $500-600, nice install.
Okay,
If that makes any sense.
all right, so we'll revisit that one another day. Then the Rock House renovation to do what we want to do there, I estimated 250 because of the amount of work that's going to be done on that structure. So do we want to leave that as a priority or,
I want to hear what DNR comes back to tell you.
okay,
Yeah,
And that would eliminate. the-
but do we want to set the money aside for now in case they come back and say, yeah, it's fine? Go ahead and count it, and then if they come back and say, no, that's not gonna work, then we revisit.
Right.
We may be revisiting this anyway.
you may revisit a lot, yeah.
Yeah, if, once the bill, well, once we know what
We
happens.
don't
with the bill.
necessarily need to spend the money right now.
No, this is just
And
prioritize.
the idea of buffering this into next year, to me, is not
Yeah,
No, that's
is
fine.
not a bad thing.
No, it's
I was kind of looking at this list, this is the money we want to spend now. Does that make any sense?
Mhm.
Okay, all right, that's why I'm looking at it. Forget the
Yeah.
priority.
So
because-
again, radio system, maintenance
Right, this is
fees,
money we want to spend right
fire
now.
helmets, turnout gear, new vehicles. That's,
Correct.
we're gonna write a check.
Even with the vehicles, just the one really needs to go. I mean, the other, I'm just. putting it
No,
out there.
yeah. I like the idea of taking care of it now.
We may not have it
Just
later.
because the warrant.
We're not, if we got money left over, it's still there.
Yeah.
We just want to, I just want to see what we want to spend right now.
Yeah,
Is number 7 been pushed off the list?
no, not yet.
I'm just trying to get through some of the different ones. Yeah.
So
We're at 491 right now.
We have 491, that's right.
Okay,
Yeah.
and we're working with at least, we're expecting at least $1 million
That's based on 965,000.
Right here. These two.
based on 965.
Yeah, I just took the 35,000 we made it.
Oh, just bump it up, yeah,
That's roughly not.
you're gonna be low,
Yeah, that's fine.
so.
Yeah, it really.
Okay, so we still have another 300 and something to go, so. Yeah, where do we want to go from there?
Well, I'd like to visit, Scott and I were just talking, there's one we'd like to add to the list,
Okay,
which is setting aside or doing something as far as pay increase for the chief. And then number 13, we want to talk about how important that is.
number
Second officer.
13, okay.
what do we spend now for our second position that comes in part-time?
Part-timers,
15 an hour.
I don't know what our
What's our
budget.
budget?
Oh, I see.
Yeah, what did we budget?
You know, overall, what does that part-timers cost us?
Yeah, we budgeted it last year.
Yeah, we
so
budgeted.
Should have a number.
How many hours do they come in?
Well,
You'd 16 hours.
They would do 2 days a week. usually.
So the 16 hours a week.
Yeah, and it's hard to get anybody now, they're want more money. I mean, it's,
Pay for it Chick-fil-A.
they do. They do.
Oh, my gosh.
So,
It was crazy though, there for a little while, we paid more than most people, now we're waiting for everybody.
Yeah, 15 an hour is not enough for that position.
No.
No way.
No.
I'll put that on record.
So, I mean, this, are we at a position to where we need another full-time officer, or do we just need to increase? Yeah, no,
Yeah, she's the one we need to talk to about that.
yeah, no,
I like the idea of having a second officer because, like, they would stagger their shifts. We'd have like 2 days where you only have one officer on duty. If you had another full-time officer, the reason being, get out there on the highway, having someone in town on duty to respond as backup is just a much safer scenario than waiting for one of the counties to show up to back up our on-duty officer if they need it. So, and that's my opinion. Now,
yeah.
I'm not
And the other
law
thing,
enforcement.
and I know we don't have definite answers, but again, the amount of time spent reviewing all of these images. You know, that, I don't know how many hours a week you're putting into that, but it's gotta be high.
I spend a lot more hours here than doing this than I ever have before.
So,
So,
We had 15 in the budget for part-time.
15,000.
Yeah, but what do we actually do? You know?
I mean, the year's not over.
Yeah, what do you think we're gonna
We've
do?
been going over a little bit.
Yeah,
We did our
And that's
best.
part two, we talked today about like time off that we're losing because we can't take it, because I don't want to go over budget, but then, I mean, we think, what we do.
We discussed that you would rather have the staff over the new car, didn't we? Has that changed?
Cars don't bother me. I just look at how much we spend on them right now.
And what's a rough idea what we're spending on the temporary police? Linda, do you know? Roughly?
I mean, I've got it planned out, I just look at it.
You would rather have more staff than a head car in this park picking list, correct?
Well, it's my understanding it's easier to get, it would be easier to get another full-time officer
then part-time,
than keep trying to patch together a part-time, unless part-timers are easier to get if you can pay them more.
And then it's always a part of your budget next year if we weren't to have any more funds coming in. That's the only little.
Yeah, that's the problem, is if something happens to these schools on
Our budget.
well,
Think about that officer though, they're actually, the tickets they write, that goes in toward
Yeah,
your.
that's why I'm hoping she'll tell me roughly what it is. If it's 40-50,000, it's
I will,
kind of like a no-brainer.
I will say this, in citation volume, our part-timers are much higher.
Yeah,
we've talked about that.
Well,
Their volume is much higher, and we've got one particular officer, and if the second officer's on the road more, the chief's taking care of administrative things. The on-the-road officer can also go after, they don't have to do just speeding citations.
they just over 10,000 for the year.
3 months into it?
So, okay, so
We're 9 months into the.
9 months into it.
So, but they're not just doing speeding citations, they're picking up on driving without a license, drunk driving,
DUIs.
Well,
DUIs,
I
all
mean-
sorts of stuff.
I mean, I can tell you, being out here on the weekend and during the week, I mean, traffic slowed down during the week, but on the weekend, that's like I-85
Yeah,
out there.
and it's difficult for those guys to even get out and get someone just because they're speeding, because there's too much volume. So they take out.
Yeah.
Even the guys, when the guys park in the middle of the bridge, which makes me nervous, they still can't get out and get into traffic to be able to get somebody. It's crazy, but when they sit up there at Nunnally, they slow people down. And if they're not able to get out and cite somebody, their presence slows people down, and it makes it easier for people to pull out on Nunnally on the weekend. They're not, I don't think any of the officers you got are doing that right now, but some of them did.
So if we were to replace the car, could we take the old car and park it at Nutley?
You really do.
they do that in some towns.
Yeah,
we do that.
They do it a lot, just pin everything.
Check the windshield.
roll. Can we get a
Like what you think.
that big, Scott?
Do you want us to put in place second full-time police officer ahead of the new car? We can swap those out.
One of the.
One of the new
One
cars.
of- Yeah, that-
Yeah,
So you would rather have the second full timer ahead of the car?
because yours is pretty good.
I mean, I take care of mine. The only thing I spend money on is brakes, and that's stop and go up here.
So you give them your Tahoe and you get you a new one. Basically.
Well, that would work.
Good call.
Okay,
And I'm good for that. I just definitely the cars just
All right.
actually money did.
So bring the patrol car down to, we were at
65.
165 or 75. What do you think?
Joey texted me back and he said that, they are now at 43.5 for the. new
So with
cars.
tax,
No tax.
And equipment.
With, equipment.
And then equipment will run from 20 to 25, for every year.
So,
So it's 65.
Which with the grant that I just got, that's gonna help with some of the equipment.
so 65 is fair.
okay. Which one y'all want?
And I picked that salary out of thin air too.
All right, so that was the
Yeah.
one.
Is that sufficient?
But we do away with the part-time, or we blend the 15,000 we've got for part-time.
What is a sufficient? Patrol officer, full-time underneath you, what would be a sufficient salary?
The departments I looked at now, they go from 45 to 50 to get a decent officer. That's decent. Because the way that everything's went up now, nobody's, in law enforcement, they're losing a lot of people because they can't pay them more. Like Walmart make 100,000.
Not just getting, well, still not just getting shot at.
Yeah.
And do we want to reserve enough to keep that employee paid since it's not always in our budget for so many years? That make any sense?
You talk about contingency plans?
Yeah, because if the
At least 2
signaling and the cost stops coming in, at least you'll have the funds collecting interest and pay
Maybe 2
to
years, then
It's not in your budget.
get them settled in, see what the revenue increase is based on citations.
And that could, it may offset it and we're fine.
Because we cannot base their pay on citation, we can't do a quota system. So, but we can see what effect it has and see what the cost to benefit ratio
Well,
is.
again, you know, the safety benefit is something we can't negate.
Oh, there's no way.
You
to
know,
money.
there's more visibility with 2 full-time people, and that should improve.
All right, so if we put 50,000 towards the new employee. Hold back on 200,000. That'll offset 4 years of budgeting is what I'm trying to get at for that new
Well,
employee.
I-
That
I
200,000
think we
just sits there in interest or something. That's, so we can't go over that million, what I'm trying to get at.
I would say 2 years would put us at 100,000. If we want to split the difference in budget for 3 years, I'm okay with that. I don't know.
Joey, we just asked, if we spend 50,000 on the new employee, we reserve some money
Okay.
for the salary.
But for,
Yeah, I
2,
would.
3, 4 years. Yeah, we're just trying to figure out
just
how much.
as we're talking about, if we're talking 50,000, then we need to also take that down by 15, because we're gonna take 15, the 15 we're already
Right.
paying.
35.
So it's at 35 as far as this money is concerned.
So we would do away with the part-time help, is that,
Yeah,
Yeah,
and that's your suggestion?
well, that would just go back into our budget. We could spend against something else, right?
We can.
Yeah.
So
Which
that
I
would be
prefer to do. I'd rather
100,000.
keep that in safe to use that 15 in the budget towards something.
Yeah.
more like
we-
water.
And you got benefits too. y'all.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I forgot about that. So you probably, what, 28%? Burden roughly. So if their burden is, gosh, come on, calculator. 50,000, 1.28 times, you're looking at about 64,000 a year, so close.
Yeah, I got a question for you. This position, are we talking hourly or are we talking salary?
Salary.
I think we would go salary.
For the position.
Yeah,
That way they-
50,000, that's
because
gotta be salary.
They need to have access to
28 miles.
all of it.
Well, you want to eliminate overtime.
Yeah,
go to.
yeah, that's true too, yeah.
So you're thinking our burden.
But with,
135.
yeah, and we can talk about with this, there's some other things, and the reason public safety position was being talked about, is that was gonna be a blended position. They would also do some
Yeah,
public works stuff.
Okay.
So if we want to talk about, like, we've got signs that need to be redone, we've got little piddly projects, a toilet seat in the bathroom, men's bathroom needs to be replaced. We don't have a
Water
handyman.
lines on
We don't have
Christmas
a
Day.
handyman, so what if we go back to a situation where our police department also picks up some minor things around town as well as part of their responsibilities. Then we wouldn't need to talk about that another position, even part-time. So, because there's little things that need to be done. That like a handyman type position or a public works type position that used to be handled by Bill and Matt or a law enforcement division. So
And is that what we're gonna handle through the second officer?
I don't know. That's the question.
That'd be a special person, yeah.
I'm also officer that fixes things.
I mean,
Well, yeah.
is Bill gonna come back for it?
No.
Yeah.
So, but that can't be public safety. That can't fall in public safety or law enforcement. So, all right.
Okay, so it's $70,000 with overhead. I just wanna try to settle the,
70,000?
yeah, with the burden, labor burden. We gotta pay labor burden.
Okay, less the
You
15.
know, plus or minus, it's not gonna be perfect. Yeah,
Right, but less 15.
Well, no, they were saying, let's do it all
no,
right here. Because I mean,
keep the 15 in the budget to use towards water or something else.
okay, shift the 15 out of police over to, because like Linda hasn't had a raise in the, 5 years, 4 years?
Exactly, that could be used for other things.
Okay.
So,
The,
so we
so,
can't pay her out of this.
so how many years would we want to put aside for that new personnel? Because you're gonna need to do that just so you don't have risk.
I'm thinking 2 or 3.
All right,
But you also need to then buffer any increases for Tanya.
well, we'll get to that. Yeah, I just want to make sure we're
Yeah, 2 to 3
a
years.
little
I
bit
think.
conservative.
And that would give us 2 years, but at least give us an idea of what kind
So
of
2 or 3 years, you think?
revenues.
3?
If you're comfortable with that, I'm fine.
I mean, I think we're gonna be safe we've got basically $1 million this year.
Yeah,
We're gonna,
this is
we're
staying
pretty
within
safe.
that.
Yeah,
This is staying in that.
we're pretty safe that we're gonna collect it at
Alright.
least next
At least
year.
part of next year, yeah.
Okay,
Yeah,
So
So-
it's beyond that.
so let's go 3 then.
all right, so if we put 210,000 in the back.
Yeah.
We'll leave it alone. Right now, we're gonna spend the 70,000. I'm gonna go ahead and put the 210 like we spent it because it reserves it,
Mhm.
that's all.
Yeah.
Okay,
So
so
you're doing 70 plus 210.
yes, the 210 is in reserve.
70 for this year, 210. Where's that put us at our,
It puts us on, so I'll tell you, plus, 431, 711. How about that? $711,000.
okay. All right, so now I would like to go back then and let's talk about number 7. Price on that has gone down. Do you have that number?
I would like to also expand upon that at any given time during the day, there's 550 children on a mountain.
Right.
And a dust bunny set off the fire alarms 3 months ago
Now,
in the duct system.
I mean, I know where the funds are coming from, and it's from that school zone. And I don't have an issue with spending some money, more money for the.
We've been a
for the school.
lot of benefit to the town up to this point. I mean, $711,000 worth of added benefit to the town. So now is it time to go back and see what can we do for the school? You still not there?
Nope.
You still think there's priorities over that? All right, well, 88 to 89?
Yes.
So that's dropped. So it's dropped from 145 to about 88,000.
Tanya, what's your opinion on that? Because your word means a little bit more for me on that emergency system.
Well, personally, my opinion is that if it wasn't for PV signing, it would not have, maybe we wouldn't have this money to be spending.
Agree, but besides the, hey, I
Besides the
appreciate
building-
your help.
besides
What
the
about the
building,
actual, well, actually help?
I think that is. I think they need it. I was up there the other day and they weren't even able to get out on the intercom systems to announce
Yeah, my fear is
So do you feel pretty positive about it? Okay.
They weren't able to get on the internet.
It's just the system's shot. I mean, it's just that old. They're having to reboot it numerous times a day. They're not able to do announcements, fire alarms and stuff. I mean.
And-
it's
So
just-
they were about to replace it, right?
Yeah, so why is it the town's job to replace that?
Because of the safety of the kids.
Yeah, how would they replace it if we didn't have
if
it?
we weren't there.
That's what he's asking. It's a fair question.
It's a
That's a fair
private
question.
school that gets funds in.
Yeah,
Right.
right. How would they, and they've got huge.
but we have residents that work there. We have residents in the school there.
Yeah,
How many?
I don't know. It's still a fair question. I mean, how would they pay for that? Why hasn't their system been upgraded?
Well,
Does
they
anyone
were,
have that
they were
answer?
going to.
they were
I think they have the money. to do
Oh,
it,
okay.
but
They
they,
have the money allocated
when
too.
Tanya asked, what can we do to
Yeah,
help you
yeah.
guys?
That
they
was
were
on
like,
their list of stuff.
This is what-
Yeah, I
this is
got
our most
Okay,
critical
that's
need.
fair.
If,
That's fair.
if the cost is dropped from 145 to 88, then what would phase 3 cost us for the town?
Yeah, we don't know that.
I have no idea on that.
And see, that's, I'd like to know
See,
that
that's-
before we, yeah.
I mean, I think if we're gonna do it for the school, we just need to do it.
Did that gentleman ever send us a quote? He said he's gonna put something together.
Not yet.
I'll
The
pass it out.
88 is
That's-
per phase.
That's not a good selling point for that gentleman.
He said they redesigned, engineered, notifications to somebody using some existing parts, equipment, and got the quote down to 88 to 89.
So that would be for basically phase 1 and 2.
Well, since they're planning on doing it anyway, we'd like to at least express some level of support for them. What if we talked about cost share on their part? Where they pay part of it, we pay part of it.
I know Casey was looking at, he had some money for it. I don't think he had the entire amount to be able to get that.
Yeah, and it would be nice to get the system here, because we
Oh,
can't
yeah.
hear anything.
No, we
now.
need
I don't- Can you hear it down here?
we need,
Where can anyone hear it?
I can't.
if you're standing,
You're out.
no, I've been there.
It's a little late
Yeah.
to.
Yeah, if you're at the school,
You're out on the way.
if you're at the school, you can hear, or at the churches, you can hear it.
Okay.
But, or if you're standing on the mountain next to the siren,
So
you
it's
can hear
It's a logical benefit that helps the town, but
it. At some point,
I'm not against doing a partial share like.
No, I'm not either.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, I don't wanna.
Because you're right, they had money allocated toward it.
exactly.
So let's find out what that fund is and let's see if we can allocate some to help us. and-
take care of the balance for them.
Yeah,
Yeah, and then,
And that way it's all tied together. They'll be getting
But then-
tornado alerts as well.
right, but at the same time, then we need
There you
to
go.
find out what it would take to implement phase 3 for the town.
Yeah,
So then we would, wanna,
I just,
then what I'm hearing is we'd wanna stop here. Whatever, match their thing, stop here, find out what the cost to implement within town is, and then come back
exactly.
and
Yep.
start picking up from there.
Yeah,
so if we wanted to reserve some money towards that. Just for, something, I mean, I did what we're waiting on here. It's 88,000 for the whole thing.
Which siren are we talking about?
There's a tornado siren that they test, I think, every Wednesday at noon.
Oh, I can't hear it.
No, I can't hear it.
If you're
I
standing,
heard it at the-
yeah, if you're standing on Main Street when they do it and you know to listen for it, you can barely hear it.
yeah.
Yeah, I've heard it every
Every now.
and then.
We used to hear it every
Well,
Wednesday.
see,
Now, the ones in the gorge that Georgia Power manages, yeah, you can hear them all the time.
Well, that may be.
Those suckers are loud. I think they do them on Mondays. You can't hear what's being said. You just hear that someone's saying something. But that's Georgia Power system that they put in, FERC will put them in to announce like when they're about to release the water. Get out of the gorge now. Kind of stuff. You got 20 minutes.
Yeah.
So,
Run back.
yeah, start climbing.
but this is civil. You just mentioned that hiring a second officer was more of a peace of mind that like what the exact wording were, safety, it was more of a safety issue. Wouldn't that reciprocate to alerting that second
Well,
officer?
I'm not
to the-
against doing this.
The priority was.
Yeah, I'm not.
They want to
I'm not
prioritize the
opposed.
town. Yeah.
I just,
Pedestrian safety corridor, the kids' safety is hard for me to, as a teacher, I'm a teacher,
well,
prioritizing
I mean-
that over this is,
No, that got started.
I mean,
The pedestrian.
I mean,
But it hasn't been struck, it's just.
But I mean, it's not.
We're,
It's not.
That's-
Yeah.
Are you saying that the safety corridor shouldn't be?
No, I'm just saying, I can't in my mind, clarify the fact that we're moving number 7 below some of these other priorities.
I don't know that we're
But I don't
necessarily
think
saying
we are.
something's more important here.
We're not, we're just trying to figure out what we're
How
spending
we spend the money.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're not saying what something's more important than something else, just as we're going through this money, what do we want to keep on the list and what do we want to wait to see?
It
what
says the
happens?
cost should be 88,000 on here, not 145.
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah, we know. it would be starting to, so.
Just to remember though, I know it's a big debate. If it was not for the school, we would not have the money and they do hold the cards.
well, and we wouldn't have, we wouldn't be having any of these conversations.
That's right. We would not be having these conversations.
I'd be sitting at home.
Exactly.
Enjoying some coffee.
If there's not one thing there, they could come out.
Well, I'm not, again, you
Yeah, I'm
can't
not hearing
lose sight of
anybody
that.
oppose. I think what
You know.
I'm hearing from Joey and Scott is they feel like that. Instead of just pouring all the money into the school, we need to make sure that we can do what we need for town out of the same system and then tie the school in as an aside.
Yes.
Well,
That's
the
what-
the money's not going anywhere. Can we just find out what phase 3 pays?
Yeah.
What it's gonna cost?
There isn't any, he says. It's not a,
I know, it's a quote that we
Yeah,
requested
he
from the
wouldn't have
gentleman
it.
that he didn't provide yet.
Yeah, we'll have to pull that together.
Yeah,
it says no additional cost, is what he just said.
yeah, there's a alarm system that the town was gonna pay for to hook into that system.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
It would be a duplicate of what the school has for the town.
No additional costs until we add the city bill, yeah. So,
Again,
Well, I think what I'm hearing is
trying to negate
we'll
the school.
figure out what they had and then we're gonna make up the difference. And then we'll get the quote in and we'll figure out how to tie.
right, and right now that money is not going anywhere.
We're not-
We could allocate the full amount, just say that the phase 3 is gonna cost 50,000.
Yeah, absolutely.
Leave out
It's gotta be.
and make sure we can
Okay.
spend. That
Yeah.
makes sense.
I just know they were, he was telling me that
They're
they
anxious.
literally need to.
They're anxious, yeah.
Because they've got to do something.
Yeah, when I was explaining to him how the process would work, if it was 145, I can tell he's anxious.
Can you
But-
text Casey?
I'm gonna reserve.
I just did.
I'm reserving 130.
I just texted him.
Just to sit.
Oh, you text
Yeah.
Casey? Yeah, I mean, just give us a ballpark. Is it
49.
20 grand? Is it 30 grand? I mean, what is it?
Another thing too, I mean, this budget doesn't start till July.
Right.
This is something, if it's a critical need, and we'll be talking about it for this reason.
Good question.
Have to go in the budget.
Excellent.
But can't we do
No, no, this-
expenditures out of that money?
Yeah, we can
Yeah, we
spend
start-
now.
we've already spent money out of it.
Yes, but we have to do, we
We'll have
have
to
no
amend our budget.
current budget for that money for this year. So we have to create a budget for this year for that money that we haven't done yet. So, but
It being
is
close to
any of
July.
this need to go in this year's versus
No,
So we can-
July budget?
I got you.
Well, the system for the school may.
Yeah, it may, and what we can do is amend our budget for this year, but
Well, we
don't
have
know
to,
how
yeah.
We'd have to amend it and then include this as part of that, so. Yeah, I'd say the school, maybe
The car, I mean,
I
How
think we need
quick
to
do
get
we
a
need to
car
do?
order.
well, we need to, well,
Because,
no, by the time you place the order for the vehicle, it's gonna take time.
yeah, order a car,
You pay up front,
yeah.
or does it take time? I mean, do you pay up front or you pay on delivery? Okay, so you're gonna put in your order and it's gonna take several months, so it's not gonna fall in,
So that's-
it's gonna fall in the next month's, but next year's budget anyway. Okay, so,
and we're still talking about the same $1 million. I'm just saying,
right,
what's gonna be this year
Yeah.
versus July.
Well, and for example, I mean, I think the helmets need to happen now.
yeah,
If they're out of date, then we need to deal with that.
okay.
I mean, we know the radio system's gonna, that should. be
Yeah,
an
that's,
issue.
that'll be next year.
Yeah,
Oh, he said 10K.
he's got 10.
He's got 10.
He said 10K to add the city, but that's a ballpark.
Or to add the city.
Well, that's not gonna go.
Oh,
with the budget till
yeah, that's
next
not-
year.
Yeah, we were asking how much he had how much the school was already had set aside to pay and what their shortfall was gonna be. We're gonna make up that difference. Then I guess what do we want to talk about? Are we talking about the second officer going ahead and moving on that this year?
Yeah,
Go ahead and,
so 70,000, I'm putting the.
well, it'd only be whatever's remaining for this year for that salary. And then we budget
I'll
for the
let
rest of
them
the year.
move that over.
So we'll do for what's left of this year. I mean, heck, it may take Tanya 6 months to, 3 months to find a full-time officer, so. We'll see how that goes. And we'll knock the new brush truck off the list until next year.
What about the German?
The what? Well, where are we on cost right now?
Well, it depends on the emergency system, y'all said. Craig said.
Let's say we meet them for right now, let's say we're meeting them halfway at 44
Plus.
Plus
hours.
hours.
plus hours, another what, 50? The rest of them, so it'll be 94.
Yeah. 805.
They're 805, so. The drones, I estimated 50, Tanya, based on adding DNR into that. What was the actual total with just Raven County West, you and Raven County West? You remember? Is it the 35?
One
40?
was 30 something, the other one was
36,000.
5,000.
Yeah, so about two.
So about 40.
It was around 40.
Okay. So, DNR had requested they said they would like one that would be 55, around 5,500 for theirs. So we want to consider that as well. That's how I came with that 50,000.
What, and I missed it, and I apologize, but what was the figure we were looking at for the alert system, our share? Did you come up with a figure?
10
Oh, 10 for our,
No,
10 to add the town was just guess.
Yeah, but we had put in there 50.
No, I'm saying-
94,000.
you're at how much?
we're estimating 50,000 for what we need in town. And then right now, until we know for sure, we're saying we're estimating half of what the
Well,
cost for the school.
I just, again, I understand we've got to get a phase 3 quote in, okay?
Right.
But
And Tom's saying it's 10.
He
Right.
just taxed 10 ballpark.
10 is what they have to put towards the
No,
system.
No, he's,
I'm asking,
Add the,
For phase 3.
for phase 3, he's
10
estimating
is
10,000
nothing.
and we're estimating 50
Yeah,
for
well,
phase
I
3, which
see, I was estimating 60, so I'm just trying to figure out.
Yeah,
is it-
for budget, we're not gonna, we had 94, I can take it out.
no, I just let's estimate it 50 to 60 for our part. Even though, I mean, he's estimating 2, let's estimate high.
Yeah.
And then we're saying, we don't know yet what our share to split with what the schools is yet.
Yeah.
But
I mean,
we're
I
estimating 40.
want the school to have.
Yeah. So we're putting down for phase 3 and whatever share we may contribute to help the school out at 94,000 total right now. And that's still leaving us with plenty of room for the
Are you
drones.
connected with the school system at all? I mean, do you hear announcements and that kind of stuff?
They have me in on,
You're in so this new system would still keep you in the loop.
it'll be better.
Okay.
I'll have even more.
Because you should be aware.
Well, part of the nice thing I like about that is that if you have an active shooter, you've got cameras that can isolate and pinpoint and track where a person is. There's less guesswork. Right now, if you go into the middle of the schools like Raven County, now they've upgraded their system, but used to, you go in, you don't know where the shooter is. You got no idea where to start going, what building to go to. This way, at least our law enforcement has ahead of time, heads up, going in, knowing where to go, so that they're less likely to be shot in the process if we keep going.
Do you have access to their cameras? You do.
You know,
On your phone?
School Falls is my seventh school. and I've never seen the amount of safety precaution that Dustin has done, like just the little stuff like the bolting at the bottom of the doors and where to go when this occurs or when that occurs. It's,
He brings a lot to the table.
he's good.
Okay.
Right.
Keeping you awake.
And so what's our, right now, we're.
Yeah, yeah.
805.
We're identified with or without the drones. You had the TA?
Without.
Oh, no, that's tomorrow.
That's not with.
That's tomorrow.
what's that?
Okay. Well, I'm saying 8.
Thank you for coming.
He's going to the Chamber of Commerce.
So, I don't know.
So actually, yeah.
Dog.
So what do we have?
We're at 8:05 without the drones. We put the drones in, we're at 8:55 roughly.
And we're at 805, but we have reserved 210, 65. We have 275 just sitting in the bank,
Right, in that eight
but
oh
we
five.
spent it in our heads because we
Right.
hired the police.
Yeah,
Right,
and that's fine.
yeah, that's right. Okay.
That leaves us at 8:55. I would not. I would feel comfortable with, holding off on 14 through 21. They're all low priority anyway, literally low priority. And that leaves us some room to
Yeah.
come back to the lockdown project.
And we did not include the SCBA.
Yeah, the
Well, I
SCBA.
want to talk to them again, yeah. Let me
We're
talk
gonna wait
to
on
them.
that, okay.
See if they'll pick it back up, or maybe they say pound sand. But let me at least talk to them
And
all
that's
the time.
one vehicle.
One
Yeah.
vehicle, one officer.
Full time.
So Linda, for you, you got it all down?
But are we still?
Okay.
What
Well,
about?
And that answers a lot of other questions we're gonna have about, like, for example, being able to do an increase for Linda, because we've got 15,000 that'll come out of the police budget. That could go towards something like that, among some other things.
What about the increase for that?
And Tom,
I thought. We haven't think about
Yeah, that
that.
went in there.
Forgot about it. I know you mentioned it.
should
The
she,
other thing could be done to free up more of the regular budget is like in the police and fire, the supplies, vehicle repairs.
we
anything
can
like
move that
that
all
could be
over.
moved.
Yeah,
So
we can
what's
shift
the
some of that
average
here.
cost of that a year?
That's
10,000, 5,000?
We've been going up.
And wouldn't her salary be able to come out of that budget? For
Yeah, that 15,
It'd be,
part of that 15 would be good to work.
We can do that.
it
During
would
the
be
budget.
cleaner.
We're gonna do that during the budget, right?
Yeah, it'd be cleaner to
Yeah.
put her increase in the general fund budget,
Right.
regular budget.
Save the supplies and
Move the other stuff to that.
That'll free up some.
And we
Right.
take money, some of the money, I was like, in the fire department, we'd take the 5,000 for equipment maintenance and upgrades out of the regular budget. Take 10,000 out of here, put it in for the fire department.
So we need to create one more, we need to create another pay item for supplies for fire and police. What roughly is that amount?
So are we just talking supplies or repairs and
And
maintenance?
whatever,
I'd say,
whatever's clean to take out of there.
I put under
Repairs and
equipment.
maintenance is the.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't, I'm
I mean,
not,
there's small equipment, police has 3,000, there's two
'cause
there.
I would question whether supplies would fall under being a public safety or law enforcement initiative. But it does keep you operational, so I
Yeah.
can see the argument.
I don't have a problem with that on the auditor. I'd argue with that.
If y'all are comfortable with it, I'm fine with it. There's no clearly defined.
It can't be that
I
much.
mean, maybe not, you know,
I mean,
in paper, but yeah, I mean.
Then there's like 10, 15,000 a year.
For the fire department, I can tell you it'd be about 10,000. That's what right now it's about 5.
She's gonna add a for me, so that's gonna increase that. a little.
For her, yeah. I'm just saying from the fire department side. I would want to go up to 10 if I can.
So she's gonna be like 15 to 20 probably. Could she add somebody?
I had one, I lost one.
Oh, just trying to figure out another item to put on here that we can start now. Actually, we gotta wait and move it.
Yeah, well, no, that'll be moving to next year.
Yeah,
In this next year.
okay.
So that's what I'm saying, is we stay here, we don't worry about, we've got a good, comfortable a buffer right there. That
Yeah, we just
855.
need to make these things move. What I'm
Yeah.
trying to get. So
Well,
we
that's- and that's-
we can release the radios, right? You can release to get a quote on radios and get that moving. purchase
Yeah,
wise.
yeah, we're getting.
Well, you still got it.
Yeah,
They're not even building power.
yeah, I got you.
Yeah.
So it'll be next year's budget.
Right, a bunch of that. So we've got 3 items that we want to go ahead and move on. Now, we'll amend our budget to take care of
Fire helmets,
helmets, number 3, number 5, and number 13. And then everything, well,
and the car.
we can wait on the drones, right, Tanya? Okay, we'll put the drones in next year's budget. Well, the car is gonna the process will start now, but the money won't be spent until next budget anyway. It's gonna take time.
Right, but we're giving this kind of giving official approval of move forward with the quotes
Shows
or
citizens.
the pricing or whatever.
No, well,
We have to do that in session.
I mean,
If it's a budget, it's just, we can allocate the money now, right? I'm just.
Yeah, we can
wondering how
allocate
to
the
do
money.
that.
so then what we
We
can do is allocate the money, but then we can, at our next council meeting, go ahead and approve for her to start the process of getting.
Okay, I got it.
She can get quotes without.
Yeah, she get quotes without us being involved at all.
Now, what about the money for the school? That should be this year.
Casey just
that-
said it's immediate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
And if
right.
we have an
glad
active
you
shooter
said that.
tomorrow.
Yeah, that's
It's
gotta
just-
happen.
His last message was if there's an active shooter tomorrow, our system wouldn't work, is what he just said.
Yeah.
Please don't outsink.
And again, so much of this is communication, it's radios, it's alert
He'd be
system.
okay with it.
Yeah, we've got to do it.
Yeah.
There's
okay,
about
so-
5,000 in small equipment and repairs, repairs and maintenance for the. bigger
You're not there, I
things.
know
You
it.
got big repair on the
I
fire
had a
truck
few,
this
I had
year.
11,000.
She's got big repairs, so one more like.
Her repair cost should go down and get a new. vehicle.
Yeah, that's great.
Her repair cost should go down with a new vehicle on a warranty.
So Linda, that budget line, we can move that over into here and then we can use some of that capital for salary.
We'll
Well,
work that in
yeah.
your regular budget,
Okay.
and we'll take some of this and apply to give you a little increase and give the fire department a little increase. And, but then free up some money in the general
It's
fund.
provided our current income to do this.
Some other,
Yeah, and it's giving us a headache to go along with it.
and,
So if I said
A lot of stuff we bought though with those headaches. Absolutely,
I said
absolutely.
25,000.
It's like we're getting a gift for us.
You were a little bit more for some reason.
yeah, I was throwing numbers out that got changed later.
Did you say, so we nixed the drones for this?
No, we're putting, yeah, the drones will be on, well, you put it in this upcoming budget.
Oh, okay.
The
So,
drones.
yeah.
Drones are in the upcoming
And
budget.
again, they can wait that time. I mean, I know.
Yeah, they had two, or they had two
They've
that
got
are
to, they're-
nearing end of life.
Yeah,
but they-
got it. Now DNR doesn't have any of that, right? Or do they have one?
I have no idea what.
They have a certified flyer, and do they not have a drone?
Yeah, I don't know. I have no idea. They reached out to me, made the comments, well, that's funny, because we're talking about drones tonight, so. Of course.
But likely if they do need them for the board, we have.
Yeah, we'll have them, so.
So, and the new budget's just,
So I'm trying to make sure my mind's clear. We've allocated somewhere around $850,000 so far.
So far,
Okay.
Okay, could be fine.
yeah, I'm good.
85, that's fine. So 85.
Plus,
I feel like
plus the extra for, whatever that we're moving from the middle fund, so.
Right, that's what I'm saying, that gives us, that 855 gives us a buffer that we can work within.
So that's allocated, that's done. And then so whatever we build upon that will be our next, whatever. We're gonna try to help people out, so help somebody.
We still have items we can attack, once we know what happens with this bill. Because it's.
Well, and we do still, I mean, if something comes up next year, we do have spots too.
Right,
for
we still have
public
SPOS,
safety.
we still have CDs in the bank. That are drawing nicer interest now for the first time ever. Or, well, no, they're.
No, they
locked in.
We will.
You mean the banks
Should we
make
get
money off
the-
their
Plenty of
We
us.
should be getting the renewals.
in April?
Okay,
Yeah, we ain't making no money.
that's right.
And that,
That's, that's what.
that was gonna be one of my questions too, is did we wanna move any of that money to, you know, CDs or anything, but it sounds like we're using it with the expense.
Yeah,
You could-
let's keep the CDs,
We could do
renew the
the part for
CDs.
the,
Oh, yeah, that's
the
true.
reserve money.
The reserve money you can.
Yeah.
Yeah, whatever can be reserved for the second officer's salary. for the
I got
next 2
two hundred and
years.
seventy-five reserved.
Yeah, you could go ahead and put that with like a 1 year.
Yeah, you could do that in 1 year and that'd be safe, right at your budget. That way it renews before the budget's set.
You do 2 of them in 1 year and then when we renew, next time do just one. Well, this whole thing may change by then,
So
so.
just do the lump sum, yeah. Put whatever we just reserved, it's 275 into it.
But when you,
It may increase, right, for 1 year
And
before
what
the
was the
budget,
five?
have 275 reserved. All right, maybe I'm crazy.
Oh, wait, what was for the car?
no, for the salary and
It was for
benefits.
the officer.
Yeah, the other reserve was. why do I have
Well, we're gonna
65?
take a little bit out we're gonna start working on. We're gonna amend the budget to increase the salary for her to start working on hiring the officer this year in case she finds someone in a week.
Yeah, no, but the 210 was for salaries for 3.
Oh, my bad, yeah, I
I
added
think
that.
you put the car-
Yeah, the 65,000 is gonna be in next year's budget, so that was for, no, that was for the gear, that's my bad, I just wrote that wrong. I put it under
It was for the
65,000.
one car.
Yeah, it was for the, no, it was just my accident, should be, reserve should be 210.
Yeah.
I'm in scratching over here, I ain't got no
Oh, I
spreadsheet.
know, you started like-
Yeah, I just went through.
That gives her clear direction on how to write up the rest
Yes,
of the
that's the
budget.
way, yeah.
Gives us know what we wanna do.
When's our next?
Meetings of 13th. Is that correct?
June 13th. Oh, we didn't have another workshop or we don't need it?
No, I wasn't talking about the meeting, I'm talking about the next workshop.
Oh,
Not till the 27th
27th.
of April.
And that one, is that gonna be a workshop or is that gonna be a public hearing? No, we're gonna do this public hearing at the beginning of the May meeting.
So the April 27th workshop,
We'll be roast to go over what we have everything
everything
pulled
put
together.
together, so.
Yeah, okay.
budgets.
So now I can get you what I need to. What I need to get you.
Tell me this, guys. I had both your sons in my class. Would your attitudes be differently if they were still in there?
Absolutely would not.
No, I mean, my son is.
So if an active shooter couldn't get there in an expeditious manner?
Both of them?
No, one graduated, he's in UGA, but,
I enjoyed your son, by the way.
I mean, he's still at school and will be for another year. I mean,
Do you think that they're not being honest with you, that the alert system is not?
I think the funds that are coming in should be directed toward the town, not a special interest group.
Special interest, your son was in,
I don't care, it's still a special interest
if
group.
your son was in that
That's what
class, you'd be
me saying,
agreeing with this
that's
right
what
now.
me saying, let's go over there and do something for the Irvings at the point and really.
No, it's not, it's.
Yes, it is, it's the same thing, I don't care if it's kids or what it is a
You
special.
would if your own was still in there.
What?
You would if your own was still in there.
No, I would, I just said, I would not vote any different than you.
Yeah. So.
That's that's like,
It's,
it's
we're
we're
gonna
punching
help
a
them.
gift horse in the mouth.
we're willing to help. They're willing to help. They just didn't want to prioritize it.
Not, I'm not putting it, I would not, never put it at the top of the list.
Doesn't sound like you'd put it anywhere.
Oh, I would put it somewhere, but it would not be at the top of the list. There's a lot of other things when it comes to salaries and police cars that help this town, will help this town a lot more.
And the
Than what it
school
would do
created
for a
that.
special interest group.
At the end of the day, the money was created by the school.
I disagree with that.
All 1.5 million.
I disagree with that totally.
The cameras didn't generate this money.
It's created but cost of the school, not on account of the school.
Okay. Well, okay, I'd like to go ahead and adjourn. So I have a motion to adjourn, Bill makes a motions, Tom seconds, all in favor. Is this debate, and I really don't want it on YouTube, but it's already out there, so. I understand the debate. I understand,